to another edition of Prescott Talks. I'm Luke Cilano. I'm your guest host for today's show. Today we have a special guest, Steve Zipperman.
Hello, Luke.
Steve, you're running for Senate right here in LD1.
Yes, I am.
Well, welcome to Prescott Talks. We appreciate having you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Let's jump right in. Let's start by telling everybody about yourself, your background, and then more importantly, out of those, what brought you to Arizona?
Well, I'm a veteran, small business guy, and I was living in California and wasn't very happy there. I watched it go from Ronald Reagan conservative to woke, and that change was very meaningful. I couldn't stand it anymore, and I had to escape to freedom in Arizona. There are 50 states, 49 of which I could have chosen when I left California. Arizona was my number one choice. I'm a political refugee here. I wasn't happy with the way the political system was going in California, and I felt that I could come here and make a difference. Arizona has a lot of things that I love. I will die in Arizona, and the last thing in the world I would want to do is make Arizona like California.
I think we all like hearing that. So, being here for, how long have you been here?
Been here just under 5 years.
Okay. So having been here, for a relatively short amount of time, what compelled you to run for Senate?
Well, my background is very consistent with this Senate position. I practiced law for 28 years, so I'm very familiar with legal language. I'm very familiar with negotiating contracts and contract language. And I've read thousands of statutes over the years. I started out as a real estate broker. I had about 50 agents working for me. And then I went to law school, passed the California bar, practiced law for 28 years, and then I retired. And my law firm, sometimes I had other lawyers working with me, sometimes I did it just by myself. But I know enough about what goes into statutory language to be able to help negotiate the wording in statutes. And I have a lot of experience with dealing with reading statutory language and understanding it. That comes in very handy. A lot of the legislators that we have today never went to law school. They don't understand statutory language. So what do? They lean on a lobbyist who will read it for them, interpret it for them, and tell them what's in the statute. And I don't need that. I can read the statute and understand it and go forward without having to get special favors owed to other people that are paying money for a campaign.
Well, we've definitely all witnessed on how important it is, serving in the Senate. We have the recent election fraud and the subsequent audit right after that, and all of these things. How would if you get in office, how would you change the current state of things?
Well, there are a lot of things that I would change with respect to the statutory language that we have in elections, for example. One of the things I really want to work for is serious changes in our election process, in the laws that make that happen. One of the things is the voter rolls are not maintained very well. We need to tighten up on those rolls. We need to have laws that make sure that dead people aren't voting, that people that have moved out of the district aren't voting, that felons who aren't supposed to be voting are not voting, and illegal aliens who are here aren't voting. In addition, there may be 3, 4, 5 people that are all registered. Luke Cilano, L. Cilano, L.S. Cilano, several variations of your name. Sometimes people register multiple times. Sometimes it's innocent, sometimes it's not.
Right.
But when 10 ballots show up at your door, do you fill them out and turn them in?
Right.
So the answer is to have voter rolls that are clear and clean and have only legitimate people that have the right to vote on them.
Right.
And that isn't present today.
That's not the current situation.
That's correct.
When you're elected, and I think you literally just answered that, but you can expound a little bit more on it. What is going to be your top priority as our state senator?
Well, resolving a lot of the problems that we have with our election laws it's crucial.
Absolutely.
We have to have paper ballots, same day hand counting of those ballots, do away with the machines. Machines are very efficient, but they're not very accurate.
Right.
And a lot of people don't have confidence in them because the machines can be hacked. I personally believe that they make great boat anchors and that they shouldn't be used to count ballots. If you've seen the movie Kill Chain that Representative Gosar, Congressman Gosar, has been pushing for the last 2 years, it's an HBO liberal production. And when you look at it after 2 years of watching what these machines are capable of doing, the conclusion is every machine can be hacked.
Oh.
So we don't need machines in our system. There are a lot of other things that can be done. The Iraqi election proved one thing to me: purple thumbs. I'll wear mine proudly.
Yeah.
And what that prevents is for people come up to get a second ballot. Sorry, you've already voted. You're done.
Right.
And it'll stop that in its tracks. There are a lot of things that can be done in addition to that. Absentee ballots are reality. They can work very easily. Think of a credit card. When they send you a credit card, you can't go out and use it until you activate it.
Oh, okay.
You have to call an 800 number. That activates the ballot, allows it to be treated like a legitimate ballot, and you can then have it counted. It's not a problem at all. That technology has been used for years. It's very usable. People in the hospital, people that have a vacation and can't be there to vote, they can still vote absentee. But the cost of doing things this way with hand counting would be covered by all of the millions and millions of dollars that's spent on postage, because right now they have to mail all those ballots out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the cost of the ballots being mailed is excessive. I'd rather see the money spent in Yavapai County residents that work at the polls, and the polls should be at every fire station, every school, every government building, so that it doesn't cost that much relative to the money that we'll save from not having to send the ballots in the mail and not having to pay for the machines and the software. By the way, that money all goes to China, and we don't want to encourage that either.
Sure. What about, what would be your position on federal and state executive orders?
Well, executive orders are kind of an interesting thing. They've evolved because the legislature did not do its job. Okay. When Congress didn't do its job, the president decided, hey, I need this done. The legislative branch is not doing it. So they created this thing called an executive order, where the executive branch does what the legislative branch should be doing. That really does violate the separation of powers, the way that our system is set up. But they did it as an expedient way to get what they wanted. And when it was challenged, the Supreme Court said, wink, wink, nod, nod, it's okay. And as a result, that's what we have today. It's a mess because the executive shouldn't and doesn't have the real power constitutionally to issue those orders. I think that probably should be revisited by the Supreme Court. And as you know, periodically they do revisit those things and change their mind when they see that they were really stupid when they allowed it before. On a state level, we have the same problem. Governor Ducey issued executive order around COVID that closed up businesses and imposed big draconian measures on the people. And it was unlimited in time. So I would propose legislation that limits the time that an executive order can be effective. Let's say, because there are emergencies that come up and the executive needs to deal with those. So fine, it's kind of like the War Powers Act on the federal system. The executive can issue those executive orders. They're good for 10 days. Within 10 days, the state legislature meets and makes a decision. Are we going to extend that 10-day period by another 10-day period?
Gotcha.
Or are we going to let it sunset? It will die on its own because no executive order would have power after 10 days. So that way you rein in the executive a little bit so that they don't do draconian orders for everybody to do something when they really don't have the power to do it.
So that takes us right into federal overreach, right? Which is, it's a big concern for conservatives. So along those lines, what is your view then on state sovereignty, and how are you, what would you propose to protect Arizona from overzealous federal regulation and mandates, which is, what you're talking about, something we've literally just seen?
State sovereignty is extremely important to me. We derive our power from the people, and the state is a sovereign entity. We have 50 states. Those are 50 sovereign equivalents of countries. And there was a big battle that raged on originally as to how much power the federal government should have.
Sure.
Well, the federal government has suffered from bloat. Every time it can, it gets $1 and it spends 2 of them. And as a result, the federal government gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
The big problem with the states is that they're eager to take federal money. And the federal government holds dollars out there and says, if you do this, we'll give you these dollars.
Sure.
And the state has to be vigilant. They give up their sovereignty, and it's happened many, many times in our recent past. They give up their state sovereignty in order to play ball with the federal government. Sometimes it's a COVID program, and then you find people that are motorcycle accident victims that died of COVID. That's because the federal money was held out there and waved in front of the state.
How do we stop that federal money, though?
The legislature needs to say no. When those dollars are being offered, they need to say no. It's a matter of state sovereignty. We have to hold our ground. Right now, our legislature has been weak, and they've been taking the money whenever they can. And you may know that there was $5 billion in excess in our funds in the Treasury because
the federal one-time use or something like that?
They took a lot of money from the federal government.
Yeah.
Yes, we can benefit from those dollars. We have to be extremely careful what we're giving up in exchange for the money. Thus far, in my book, we have not been careful enough.
Gotcha.
We've just seen the money and jumped at it like a fish goes for a shiny object in the water.
Right.
I think it's a bad tactic, and we need to straighten up and really evaluate these matters a little more carefully.
So it seems that the Republican Party often shuns, or should I say resists, conservative candidates. Are you experiencing any of that?
Absolutely. As a conservative, I find that I'm thwarted frequently by the Republican Party. I'm not happy with the National Republican Party.
Sure.
I'm not happy with the State Republican Party. And I'm not happy with the Yavapai County Republican Party. As you know, I started out as a precinct committeeman.
Yeah.
I thought I might be able to effectuate meaningful change. Nobody listened.
Right.
So then I decided, well, maybe that isn't the right route. So I became a state committeeman. And as a state committeeman, yes, I had more power. No, I couldn't effectuate any change because once again, they're not listening.
Nobody listens, yeah.
And so I tried to then, okay, I'm going to go a little higher and try to get a little bit more influence over what's going on. And the truth is, I was the number 2 person in the Yavapai County Republican Party. And the people that I answered to didn't listen. I could not effectuate meaningful change, constructive change for conservatives within Yavapai County. So my only choice was resign that position, run for this job, Arizona State Senate, where I know that I can effectuate meaningful change for the benefit of the people in this county.
So along those lines, then, if you're experiencing that from the Republican Party, have you garnered? I know that you have. You've garnered a significant number of endorsements, upwards of 40. Is that correct?
Yes, I have.
From all over Yavapai County, and many are well-recognized state organizations. We've got just a couple minutes. Do you want to elaborate on any of those in particular?
I have a list here. I'd like to go through them.
Go for it.
There are a lot of groups that these groups represent the people, and these are conservative groups here within Yavapai County. This is all about what benefits the people. These groups have each looked at me, looked at my background. They've interviewed me. Some of them have asked very tough questions, as you know. But the truth is that they have all endorsed me. The Arizona Free Enterprise Club, they're very much about free enterprise. I'm a small business guy. We have a lot in common. Conservatives for a Constitutional Republic. That's Jim Dutton's group. Yeah. They are very well respected. They're very knowledgeable, and they don't put up with much. They check me out very well. The Lions of Liberty, you happen to know them.
I happen to know them, yeah, just a little.
And your entire board quizzed me, grilled me.
For quite a while.
And turned me over till I was well done. Yeah. But ultimately, I was approved by your group as well and endorsed by them. AZ MAGA, which is an offshoot of President Trump's
Sure.
Make America Great Again. The Arizona Republican Assembly, which is Phil Mason's group. It's a very, very conservative group that's backed me. The Arizona Constitutional Conservatives for Proper Government also endorsed me. Great State Alliance endorsed me. In addition to those groups, which they've all been pretty tough in terms of making sure that I stand up for the same things that they do. I've been endorsed by Kari Lake, who's running for governor, by Jim O'Connor, who's the current Arizona Corporations Commissioner. Sheriff Richard Mack has endorsed me. Randy Miller gave me a personal endorsement. He was one of the founders of the Constitutional Sheriffs Association. Representative John Fillmore. Now, a lot of the ideas I talked about with the same-day paper ballots, smaller precincts, those were his ideas, and I incorporated them because they're really good ideas. Representative Judy Burgess has endorsed me. She's probably one of the most conservative members of our entire legislature. Representative Teresa Martinez has endorsed me. Senator Wendy Rogers has endorsed me. And she's no nonsense. She and I are both veterans, and we both are willing to stand up and be heard. Former president of the Arizona State Senate, Russell Pierce, has endorsed me. Sue Goodchild, who is the founder and president of the Yavapai County Pachyderm Club. John Gumby, who is a Southwest pro golfer, yeah, he's a Hall of Fame inductee. And Lori Martinez, who is the current Arizona State Chair of the National Hispanic Assembly in her personal capacity. She's endorsed me as well. In addition, I mentioned the 17 people. There are 17 people that are working towards conservative goals. They are running for the House or the Senate within Arizona currently. Each one has been vetted. They are conservatives. Each one of them is highly likely to get elected, and they also have endorsed me. Several of them have been former legislators, and several of them are new to this business, but they are fast learners and they are very committed to conservative causes.
Wonderful. Well, we're at the end of our time. Steve, thanks for coming on the show. It was a pleasure having you. I'm Luke, once again, guest host for today's Prescott Talks, and it was great having you. Have a great day.
Thank you.